room without getting in the way of like other lanes. And if I really want to, I can like stretch 2 across the whole map by just upgrading them. But normally I'll just throw 1 in each lane, and it covers everything, which is nice. That's basically what I wanted, so it's the reasoning behind that. And then Uber, I just throw on LSA whenever I use it, which is basically never, because everyone knows that shit sucks. So, but it's basically tower damage monk. Oh yeah, pet. He just has defense power. Why does it only show 1 stat? Defense power, defense crit damage, just like everything else. And he's actually kind of low level, but I got him like fairly, like, I don't know, shortly before I quit, so I didn't really have a lot of time to like put EXP and stuff into him. But I mean, the stats that matter. So let me show you the last one. Gandalf. All right, so do the gear first. This is obviously a frosty power app. You can build 3 main types. No, well, 4 plus. Like, okay, so you can have the wall HP now, which is nice. They actually buffed the walls. You can have tower damage, which was always like the bread and butter like app build. You can do AP, especially with the Uber, that tornado or whatever it's called. Uber is actually really good. I've seen some people use it and it just fucking wrecks shit. And then Frosty, which is what this is. So the reason I have a Frosty app is obviously because I use traps. If you use traps or auras, it's pretty much mandatory to have like a super geared Frosty app. And mine's actually like relatively low, mostly because the staff and like 1 or 2 other pieces, but like I cannot I cannot find an upgrade for this staff. Like, it just does not exist in the world. I swear to God, I've like farmed my dick off for this, and like, yeah. Anyways, but you have to have a Frosty app if you use auras or traps. At least, I mean, if you want to get to like NM3, NM4, and past them. The only real exception to that is if you're just playing with like 4 DPS heroes and you guys all just like are just pew-pewing everything, but that's whatever, that's different. Anyways, they come in handy whenever you're using traps or auras, just because like first of all, you get the speed here, which is like a huge DPS boost. I mean, I don't even need to go through it. Like, Frosty's just so OP when it comes to stuff that's like stationary on the ground. Yeah, my damage gets boosted on my traps from 2.3k to like when I use 4 or 5 Frosty towers. Like, I mean, I've seen it go over 10k before, so it's it is ridiculous. Anyways, I'll go through the gear real quick. We've got the Chilling Touch, the mandatory stat on here. Obviously, you need defense power and you need that passive. The passive is super important, and obviously you want just as high defense power as you can get. I do believe that you can get the Frostfire passive. Wait, that's on the amulet, I'm thinking. Or is it on? No, it is on the staff. You can get the Frostfire passive and I believe the Enhanced Chill or whatever, which would be ideal, but I mean, good luck finding that, seriously. I looked for one of those for forever and it just it was not in the stars, let me just say that. But the main thing you want is Frostfire. If you can get one that has the second stat, then great. But yeah, like Frostfire, that's what you want. Frosty power on the helm, and obviously you can roll range, but you don't really need range for anything on a Frosty power app because you already get crazy like range on their frostbite towers, 50% between these 2 spheres. Yeah, they already get enough range, so you don't really need to go crazy with like, all I wanted was and besides that helm got 10% frosty, so perfect as far as I know. That's pretty much what you want: defense power and frosty on every single piece of gear. So defense power here, got health 2, frosty power 7% isn't like that great, but it's good enough. This one got 9% with defense power. It's awesome. 9%, same thing, really good. And one thing to note about this is it got service call too. Service call comes in handy in Nightmare 4 because the ogres can actually like outdamage one person's repair rate. And if like, I'm not sure if I don't think they outdamage two, unless you're talking about maybe like one of the upper level ogres. But yeah, I know, especially when you're soloing, you cannot out repair one ogre, like unless you have service call. They just damage faster than you do. Um, there are ways to like interrupt it, like obviously with like the Huntress's #1 and just stuns, interrupts, whatever, but in general like they do way more damage than you can fix, so that's a really nice service call. It's amazing for Nightmare 4. And the amulet, defense, power, defense, health, just like, you know, everything else. The chill slow on Frostbite Tower is really, 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 really good. Like 15% does not, or 14% does not seem like that much, but I don't know, for some reason I feel like it like triples or something. Like when you see an ogre get chilled by Frostbite Tower, like after you get Snowstorm, it just gets so slow. Like it just helps tremendously that you get extra hits from everything, and like it just is really nice. Plus when you're trying to tank, like it just makes it more manageable. It's a really good passive. And Frosty Power, which we already know what that is. And then defense, power, defense, crit on the pet. You know. Anyways, those are all my stats. Oh yeah, I need to like show you stats. Pretty much what you expect: the defense, power, defense, speed, and then a little bit of defense, health. That's basically what I do on all my like tower builders. I mean, you basically just want to max out your tower damage, and then defense speed is just like so good. I mean, it's probably better than defense power since you get so little of it. So you have to pretty much max these two, and then defense, health. I'm missing something. Let's see, I showed you the gear. Oh yeah. So I got the flamethrower Uber on here, and I believe I just have these selected just to test them out. Normally I would probably run defense power, but I don't know, I feel like 100-ish defense power is pretty negligible. So, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I was testing this out, so I just kind of left them. But that's for the flamethrower Uber, just to give it range. Showed you these earlier. These are the Frostbite Tower range, which are super important. If you're doing like a Frosty app, definitely recommend having those. It's just you can place them in like really odd places, and they can cover like the entire area that you need them to. Like, I don't know, it just comes in handy. They just have so much utility. And then this one you pretty much have to have. You can actually use Frostbite Towers offensively with Freeze Spear, because if they hit air and they freeze air, like air units will basically fall to the ground and like shatter or whatever. Like it basically kills them. So you can kind of like, if you place too many Frostbite Towers, it can actually be a good thing if they're near your crystal and like away from like other enemies, as long as like air units fly there, because it'll start hitting some of the air units and have that 45% chance to basically kill it. So they're really nice to have. It helps you deal with some of the air if you don't have too much NI air. And then I just have flamethrower Uber, just messing around with it. But and I mean, this is the actual setup that I cleared NM3 or NM4, excuse me, with was this. I basically used DPS Huntress to kill the kobolds. And then, I mean, Frosty Power, walls, and traps. That was basically it. It was on Life Root, obviously. But this was back before they even nerfed it. There were like a good handful of people that could actually run it, but yeah, I got some help with my build from somebody and managed to finally get it done with these 4 solo. So yeah, that's like right before I quit. But anyway, so I don't know, if I could do it then, I'm pretty sure like you'll have no issues doing it now. You pretty much like, obviously the main thing is, at least in my opinion, decent walls. And by decent, let's see, my walls are 240k. So I would say like, I don't know, at the minimum I'd say like 200k. I mean, it should be like fairly easy if you're farming Nightmare 3 to get that. So but you need some like kind of beefy walls to run NM4. And all these things, by the way, are for like solo play. If you're running with a group, walls become a little bit less important if everyone's on DPS or if everyone's on tank. If it's like completely uncoordinated, walls are probably more important than solo play. So I mean, it just depends on the group. But yeah, walls are obviously pretty important in general. But I feel like when it comes down to it, having a frosty app with you want to have it as close to 50% frosty power as you can get, and you want to have the frost fire as high as you can get. I believe mine's at 45-ish%. If you can get around there or higher with good defense power, like my DP is 2900, you're good to go with that. And I mean, this is still what I think is the main one, 3600 defense power. A lot of range on the trap, so you can cover like a lot of ground, because that's the biggest thing honestly in Nightmare 4 is covering ground. You run out of supply when you're placing traps, and you'll miss like one spot where like a few things just kind of like sit and hover on, and they'll start beating the shit out of your walls, and the next thing you know they're at your crystal while you're like off like fucking with ogre. So the range is like really important. I mean, that's like honestly Nightmare 4 is sort of kind of what like converted me to like just use range fully. Trap range is just so nice on Nightmare 4. You just have to have it. Just covering like all the choke points you can, all the little tiny like any place a mob could just stand. You just have to have covered. So, but pretty much yeah, you just need the DP on this character and some speed and the right passes, and you're good to go. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. If you have any like questions, comments, if I said anything that was just completely retarded, let me know in the comments. I'll do the best I can to answer them. I appreciate it. Later.